Hi, I'm Jodie and I go to Love Church in Bournemouth. I've been asked just to share a little bit of my testimony with you, and I really wanted to focus on the signs God has given me throughout this journey. So just to start off, I want to share Isaiah chapter 7 verse 11 with you. So it says, "Ask a sign of the Lord your God. Let it be deep as Sheol or high as heaven." Now, when I first got my sign from God, I didn't realise it was a sign, and I never really asked for it either, but a little bit of background info on me. I've been raised an atheist my whole life, and I've always had this very negative outlook on Christianity, and that kind of made me run from anything that even resembled God. So when my best friend asked me to come to youth group for the first time, I thought she was crazy, and it took a lot of convincing to get me here, but I came. And it was a Tom Smith night, so it was just a night of worship, and I think what surprised me most was when I was listening to the lyrics and when I was looking around the room. There were people praying on their knees, there was people screaming for joy, there was people sobbing, there was a girl passed out on the floor from a meeting with the Holy Spirit, and all I can remember thinking is, this church business is absolutely crazy. It's mad, but there was also this atmosphere of just complete love. And I think it's that made me come back again and again. And it made me explore my faith. And that journey led me to Focus Alive, the gathering in London in November. And that day had been a particular struggle for me, mental health-wise. But as soon as I walked through those church doors, I knew something special was going to happen. I can't really place my finger on it, but I knew something amazing was going to happen. So we went through worship, and we sat down to listen to the guy speak, and he asked us to breathe in God. He asked us to breathe in life like God had breathed life into Adam. And so I thought, okay, again, crazy, but okay. So I sat down and I just started breathing, and as I looked around, everyone was having these amazing encounters with God, but I didn't feel anything. I didn't know what I was meant to feel. So I'd never really prayed before, but I said this awkward little prayer of something like, "God, can you just send me a sign that you're here, that you're real, and that you're going to help me breathe in this life, whatever that means." And suddenly I just felt this warmth and this peace, and my hands started tingling, my legs started shaking, I started to feel like I was home, I could breathe again for the first time, and it felt like I was going to the surface of the water to take my first breath. And I just started crying, because I knew that was the Holy Spirit, and I knew God was with me. And afterwards, the guy said, "Does anyone want to give your life to Jesus?" And without really knowing, I put my hand up, and I committed myself, and I gave my life to Jesus. That was 8 months ago, and I've been on this crazy journey ever since. I just threw myself into knowing Him and loving Him, and trying to glorify His name with every day I was blessed with. So that takes me to March. I was asked to do a Preach Mania, and I was preaching my testimony much like this. And afterwards, I was just standing at the front, waiting for anyone that wanted to come pray with me about what I'd said. And we were in this time of worship, and these 3 girls came up to me, and they said, "I want to give my life to Jesus." And I nearly cried my eyes out, honestly, but I just held it in, and I prayed over them. I prayed that He would transform their life. I prayed that they would go on this crazy journey like I had been on, that they would get to do this one day, that they'd get to change lives. And I felt so much love for them. And so that led me and my best friend to planning this youth outfit to start in school. And it was going great. We had so much excitement and hope. And then lockdown came. And our hope was crushed. And we pushed that dream to the back of our minds, because there was no way that we ever saw ourselves being able to do that. We never saw a way of being able to renovate a chapel. We never saw a way of being able to transform their lives while we're stuck in quarantine and can't do anything. So we just thought, this is obviously a sign from God. He doesn't want us to do this, it's not in his plan. But then, one random youth night, we were just sat in our small groups and we got told that we'd been giving £2,000 worth of funding for this youth alpha, and we just started sobbing uncontrollably for the rest of the night. We're just crying our eyes out. And I called her the next day and we cried and we prayed together, and I said, we were so wrong before, we were so wrong. God obviously wants us to do this. He's just given us £2,000 to do this. Why did we ever let go of hope? We need to hold on to that hope. And this is what we're made to do. We're meant to transform these lives. We're meant to sow these seeds and spread this word. And since then, we've just kept this excitement in our hearts and we've kept planning. And hopefully soon we'll get there. But I could stand here forever and tell you all the signs, tell you that every day I see God in nature, that I see God's signs in my everyday life, because I do. But the main message I want to get across to you today is some of my most impactful signs happened while I was suffering. And I want to reassure you, God will never leave you guessing. He will send you these signs to tell you to slow down, to quiet your mind, to be still and know that he is God, and to work on yourself while he labours for you, while he labours on your behalf. And he can send you these signs, but it's up to you. It's up to you to read these signs. It's up to you to put these signs into your life and work on them. For me, some of these signs included a breakup earlier this year. And I was so invested in this relationship, and looking back on it, I know that it took so much time away from me and God, and it wasn't a godly relationship. But at the time, when I got the sign, when I got the answer to my prayer for direction, I hated it. I really hated it. I didn't want to do it, but I knew that if God was giving me the sign, he must have better things in store for me. He wouldn't just tell me to break up my relationship and then leave me stranded. He would comfort me and bring me peace and joy and hope for the future. He also took a lot of toxic people out of my life. And after that day when they all left, I went to youth and my friend gave me this word, and it said, he is rebuilding your life. He is taking away those parts that you held on to from your old lifestyle and freshening it up. He's redecorating. He's building you in his image like he made you to be. So those are some ways. Another way is he sends me signs of exhaustion. I tend to overwork myself. I tend to focus on relationships and I focus on A-levels, and I forget to leave this little time for him. I forget to do Bible study. I forget to pray in the morning. I fall asleep during my night prayer. And when I get these signs, when I become aware of my mistakes, when I feel this lack of peace inside me, I know that God's just saying to me, I just want to talk to you. I just want you to dive into my word so I can reassure you that it's going to be okay, that whatever happens with your A-levels, that's in my plan. Whatever happens with those relationships, that's in my plan. So I guess my main point for you is not all of God's signs are enjoyable. Not all of them are pleasant. Not all of them are exciting. Some of them are actually really painful. But he's never going to leave you stranded, and he's always going to give you that comfort and peace. I just want to read 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 7 for you. It says, "Now when these signs meet you, do what your hand finds you to do, for God is with you." And I think that's so important. You know, we can get these signs and then feel like we're stranded, but we're not. God is with us. And if that's what it takes to get your attention, then it's so worth it. If that's what it takes for you to focus on God and focus on your divine relationship with him, then it's worth it. And I just pray that you pay attention to those events, pay attention to those patterns and signs in your life. I pray that you listen and take action on them. And I pray that you find comfort and peace. And I just want to read you one last verse. Hebrews 6:19. I actually got given this verse at a youth group when I was really struggling with my faith. Just on like a little piece of paper, and I keep it in the back of my phone. And it says, "We have this as a sure and steadfast anchor of the soul, a hope that enters into the inner place behind the curtain." This hope is an anchor for our soul. If we don't have that hope, we don't have faith. So I just pray that you hold on to that hope through all the signs, through all the disturbances.